What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dabrunski here, and today I'm going to be covering one of the coolest looking style points builds period in Diablo 2, and that is the Riftsin. Now it's exactly how it sounds. It's an assassin using the rumored Rift or Frozen Orb procs. Now it's actually pretty effective. You might think, well, Frozen Orb, that sucks. We run Blizzard sources for Diablo 2. Technically that is true, but you have multiple damage sources with the Riftsin. So you have the Frozen Orb itself, cold damage, lightning damage from your Light Sentry, Corpse Explosion damage from Death Sentry, as well as your melee kicks and the physical damage coming from your mercenary. So there's multiple sources of damage. It's actually a pretty effective build, but like all of my previous Diablo 2 build videos, timestamps will be in the description, so if you guys want to bounce back and forth between the gear, attributes, or some main fundamental points about kicks, or the actual gameplay itself, they're there for you guys to use, so please take advantage of them. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoy this video. Let's jump in. So before I dive into the specifics of this Riftsin build, there is several key mechanics that I want to go over in regards to kicks and how they work in Diablo 2, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions with what actually works and doesn't work with the Kicksin or the Riftsin in general. But I do want to let you guys know that I have a link in the description to the Amazon basin that covers everything you need to know about kicks, basically more than what I can talk about in a video. So I highly recommend that you guys give that link a read over if you're new to the Kicksin or the Riftsin in general. But the first point that I want to talk about is the weapon base that you choose to make the rumored Rift in. It purely acts as a stat stick, so extra damage on the base does nothing for your overall kick damage. So Divine Scepter base versus Caduceus base does nothing. Now it is important that you guys check on the IS calculator based on your burst of speed, what additional IS you'll need on your equipment to reach the max breakpoint for kicking. The actual weapon damage itself on the base does not matter whatsoever. The second point I want to touch on is it's very important to up your boots. You want to make sure if you're using normal boots, double up them to elite, or if you're using an exceptional pair of boots, up it once to an elite level, because that's going to give you overall more kick damage. Third point is that Crushing Blow works with kicks, Deadly Strike does not. So a pair of boots like Gore Riders, they are really nice boots. They have good overall damage for the Kicksin, and the Crushing Blow does get applied, but the Deadly Strike doesn't. Same with High Lords for additional IS to reach the breakpoint. It's going to help you, but the Deadly Strike based on character level won't help you at all. Fourth point is that additional points you put into Fire Blast is going to increase the number of shots from your Death Sentry, so these are hard points only. Now I went with kind of a hybrid kick and trapsin setup for this Riftsin build, so I do have some additional points put in here to get a total of 7 Death Sentry shots. You can put more if you want more shots. You're just gonna have to choose, kind of weigh out which other skills you want to sacrifice putting less points into. And the fifth and final point is that every 6 points that is put into Dragon Talon, so this is hard points and plus skill gear, gives you another kick. So your additional plus skills from like Mara's, Nightwings, Enigma, etc. Every 6 point is an additional kick. So if you can stack some extra skills, it's not necessarily a horrible thing. It's up to you if you want to carry like martial arts skillers to get an extra kick versus trap skillers, which I'm using to boost my overall light sentry damage. Again, it's totally up to you. You'll have to kind of choose how you want to tailor your build. But that is all the key mechanics that I wanted to cover. So we'll take a look at the attributes and everything else. For my Riftsin, I didn't spec anything crazy for attributes. I just went with the standard max Vita setup, so enough strength to equip my gear, which I actually only need 156, but the shield that I'm using gives me additional strength, so I need to invest 156 strength to equip Storm Shield, and then it gives me additional strength after that, so that's why that number is actually a little bit higher. I don't bother strength bugging. If I want to get a little bit extra health, I could, but the Assassin has amazing return for every vitality point for like that you get back in actual health. So max Vita, don't worry about strength bugging, nothing into dexterity, nothing energy, like 540 total. That's everything else into vitality. And with my setup, I have 75 fire, 75 cold, 75 lightning, and 19 poison. So we're a little bit low on poison damage, but it doesn't matter too much. I have just over 100 MF. That's not really trying to stack any MF. That's just with the gear. That's what I have. Faster hit recovery, we're just sitting at 15, which for those that don't know, I actually didn't know this until I started doing a lot of research on the Kicksin. The Assassin has amazing FHR breakpoints. So 15 FHR is 1 frame slower for recovery than 60 FHR is on the Sorceress. So 15 from 3 small charms, that's everything. I do have 25 Crushing Blow, no Deadly Strike, doesn't work like we talked about. And then I have, where's 43% damage reduction with my gear. So very tanky, and I actually have life tap support as well, which you guys will see when I go over the gear. I mean, Assassin in general is a very tanky character. It's not like the Riftsin has tons of damage, but with nearly 50 DR, and then everything else that you'll see going on with the fireworks, this is actually a really nice character with a lot of survivability. Now for the skill tree, I only have 1 skill, in the martial arts tree, and that's purely just Dragon Talon, because I use Enigma for repositioning. Now this is really important. You can actually use Dragon Tail to reposition and pull your mercenary with you if you don't want to use Enigma on your Riftsin. So you can use like Chains of Honor. The ED from Demons doesn't work with kicks, but you can still use it for the plus skills and the life stolen per hit, DR and MF, or you could use Fortitude if you want that 300 ED. Actually, sorry, Dragon Flight, excuse me, not Dragon Tail. Dragon Flight is the repositioning skill. Can you tell I'm not a huge assassin guru? Okay, so for Shadow Disciplines, I have 1 point into Psychic Hammer. That's just to unlock Cloak of Shadows. Now, you'll see in the gameplay, I basically use a combination of my Dragon Talon, and then I'll drop Light Sentries, Death Sentries, and then I'll cast Cloak of Shadows, teleport around, kicking, proccing Frozen Orbs. Claw Mastery, that is just to unlock a Burst of Speed, and then I have 1 hard point into Fade, just to use Venom. Now, Fade and Burst of Speed can't be used on top of each other. We're only using Burst of Speed, we never use Fade, and Venom is just for additional poison damage. It's not a lot, I mean, 760 to 780 over 0.4 seconds, but it adds up with everything else, right? We have lightning damage from your Light Sentry, Death Sentry, poison damage, your melee damage from kicking, your mercenary, etc. So it all adds up with the Frozen Orb damage. That's why I have some points into Venom. And then for traps, I have, I believe I put just enough into Fire Blast to give me a total of 7 shots. So I forget what that is because of all the plus skills, but enough hard points to get 7 shots with Death Sentry, and then I max Death Sentry, max Lightning Sentry, and then I have 1 hard point into Shockweb and Charge Bolt just to unlock these 2 traps. Then I have 1 into Wake of Fire, 1 into Blade Sentinel, 1 into Blade Fury, just to unlock Blade Shield. Now, for the Riftsin specifically, this doesn't really do anything other than if these blades like slice into enemies, it's an additional chance to have Frozen Orb proc. So I do have some extra points, not a lot, put into this one, just so that the duration is not nothing. Again, it's totally up to you whether or not you want to use this. It's just for the Riftsin specifically, I think it's a good investment because we're going to be proccing more Frozen Orbs with it. For general Kicksin, I probably wouldn't use it. Which brings us to the gear for the Riftsin. Now, anyone who's actually sat down and theorycraft the best possible gear for the Kicksin, they will know that any of the meta gear choices for your traditional melee builds, they do not apply to the Kicksin or the Riftsin at all. It's totally own unique, like optimized gear setup. And with that being said, there is also numerous different ways that you can spec the Riftsin or the Kicksin in general. So I'm going to try and discuss a lot of the alternative options and then kind of give the reasoning for what I chose to use. I'm sure people in the comments are going to tell me every different possible gear selection that I could switch out. And they're not wrong. There is so many different viable options, but I'm going to mostly focus on what I chose and why. So starting off with the weapon, again, Rift. You don't have a Riftsin without using this weapon. Hell, Ko, Lam Gull, and a Divine Scepter. It's actually not too expensive. I mean, just a Gull rune, which is like a mid rune. Paired that with Nightwings. Now, this is actually the same Nightwings I was using on my Frost Maiden. I did not put a cold facet in it. I have a 15 IS Lightning Res Jewel in it. That extra IS with my Burst of Speed, which is level 13 after Battle Command, that helps me reach the max kick breakpoint for Dragon Talon, which is really important because more kicks faster is more damage and more chances to proc Frozen Orb. So that's why I did not put a facet in the helmet. Even like a 5/5 facet and a 15 cold damage Nightwings, it really only adds like negligible damage to the Frozen Orbs. If anything, the Frozen Orbs is more like just a tiny little bit of supplemental damage, fireworks, and just slow everything down. So that's why I did not put a facet in this helmet for this build. For the amulet, I'm using Mara's. $2 skills, attributes and res. You could use like High Lords if you want the IS. Again, the Deadly Strike doesn't work. You can use Metal Grid for AR and resistances. That's another option. Or depending on the FCR breakpoints that you want for teleporting on the offhand, you could use a caster amulet. So again, a lot of different choices. For the body armor, I'm using Enigma. That's because I want to reposition using teleport, not something like Chains of Honor and then using the Dragon Flight skill to reposition. You could use Chains of Honor or Fortitude. Again, ED from Demons does not work with COH. Fortitude ED does. For the shield, I'm using an Storm Shield. So, I mean, this is, you know, the resistances across the board, 35 damage reduction. This is like your hardcore character meta shield. This is a softcore build, but it's just too good to pass up. Between the 35 DR and then the DR from Enigma, that's how I get close to 50. For the boots, these are double upped Goblin Toes, so they're mirrored boots for extra kick damage, and then Crushing Blow. It's actually the only source of Crushing Blow that I have on this character. And then I have a Raven Frost for Cannot Be Frozen, and then I paired that with an FCR Mana Leech Fire Res ring. Now the only reason that I'm not using like a standard dual leech FCR ring is because using Arachnid's Mesh, and then this FCR ring, and then teleporting on the offhand with Spirit, that helps me get my FCR breakpoints. And I actually just realized, this is very bad for a build video, but I'm going to go ahead with it anyways. I don't actually have enough strength specs, so I was a little bit off with my Storm Shield, so that's very important. Yeah, we need a little bit more for strength for the boots. Okay. 163. Okay, so besides that, my stat points weren't completely allocated properly because there is additional plus strength from Storm Shield. So it kind of messed that up a little bit. So, but again, the only reason I have this FCR ring is because I pair that with the Arachnid's Mesh and then Spirit. That helps me reach 63 FCR breakpoint if I choose to teleport on the offhand. So if I want to cover large distances with the Riftsin, I have the additional FCR. Now for alternatives, and CTA. So CTA, Spirit, the standard offhand combo. Alternatives for the belt, you could use String of Ears for extra DR, life stolen per hit. That is an option. But I specifically went with the Arachnid's Mesh to boost my trap damage and to get that additional FCR for teleporting long distances. The inventory, I have different assorted fire resistance to make sure I have capped fire res, a couple MF small charms, and then I have 3 FHR small charms. Where are they? There's 1 FHR, 2 FHR, and then here 3. So 3 total. It gives me 15, which is basically 60 FHR for the sorceress for FHR breakpoints. And then I have a Torch and Annie, and then I have a full inventory here of different trap skillers. Some of them have plus life, plus strength, and then one's plain. That is to boost my trap damage. It's up to you. You can min and max. Like you can supplement for some martial arts GCs if you want an extra kick. I just went traps to boost my overall trap damage. Again, that's up to you. Mercenary, I'm just using my standard Chan V-Gaze, Fortitude, Infinity, kind of like what I use on every Infinity build ever on my channel. But that is to just solely boost the total trap damage of the Riftsin. That's all the important points I want to cover. So now we'll do some gameplay. We'll do some Ancient Tunnels, and then we'll do a Chaos Sanctuary run, and you can see this build in action. So I'm going to set the player's difficulty to 3 just so that you can see it. The Riftsin, she struggles a little bit, anything higher than that, even with top tier gear. I mean, you can do players 8, it's just, like you hit a wall, it really slows down. We'll just do players 3, quick Ancient Tunnel, and Chaos Sanctuary run. And before we do that, there's one thing that I forgot to mention in the gear, I apologize for this, is that I am using Drax for the gloves. There's a lot of different choices you can use here. You could use something like Venom Grip if you wanted extra crushing blow. Crafted gloves would be really good with 20 IS, or even rare gloves with 2 to martial arts skills and 20 IS and additional plus stats like res or whatever. But I really like Drax for the life tap. It really helps with the survivability because she's kicking so often and so frequently that when that life tap procs, with 43 DR and I mean just constantly kicking with the life tap, it's really hard to die. So it's a really great option for survivability. And plus 2 martial arts skills doesn't really add that much damage to your kicks. And you do have your traps supplementing. So again, it's up to you what you guys choose to run. But we'll quickly do Ancient Tunnels and then we'll do Chaos. Now there's a lot of pre-buffs. Do your Battle Command and then your Blade Shield and Venom. Now this is why I like to teleport on the offhand. When you're covering long distances, it's a lot quicker versus teleporting on the main hand. It's a little bit slower. It's not a huge deal, but it'd be really slow like if I was using String of Ears. Again, it's up to you if you want to hit that 63 or not, 63 FCR breakpoint or not. Now, for the Ancient Tunnels, there's a lot of lightning immunes. So I just use Death Sentry, but we'll use Light Sentry and Chaos. It does get a little repetitive, like taking the time to lay down your traps and then kicking, but it's worth it. It's the Riftsin anyways, right? I typically don't use Cloak of Shadows in here because for me it's more of a survivability thing, so if I teleport in Chaos and everything is completely covered, then I think it's a good idea to use it. But for Ancient Tunnels, I don't think it's too necessary. Let's try and focus on the big packs here. The Life Sentry, Frozen Orb. We even have the Tornado procs, even though it doesn't really do anything. You can see when I'm teleporting. Main hand teleport is a little bit slower. Offhand. Just trying to find a big cluster of guys here. Now again, you can use the Dragonflight move. You definitely don't need to use Enigma to reposition. It's up to you how you want to spec your build. Okay, so let's quick Ancient Tunnels run Players 3. We could probably run Players 7 in Ancient Tunnels, but you definitely, I would not suggest going Players 7 in Chaos. What would your Chaos Sanctuary run now? Teleport on the offhand. Switch to the main hand once we see some stuff. You're going to want to lay your Death Sentry, Lightning Sentry combo this time, or I would suggest it over just pure Death Sentry. And the same idea, kick away, get your procs. And then you'll get to see Cloak of Shadows in use when we get a little bit more monster density in Chaos Sanctuary. There's Cloak of Shadows, Lightning Sentry, Death Sentry combo, and then kick away. Can't quite cast Cloak of Shadows yet. Cool down, there we go. I think it's safe to say that the Riftsin, or the Kicksin in general, is really the only melee character that has AoE. For D2 at least. There's that little bit of a cooldown, can't use Cloak of Shadows yet. But it's okay, because with kicking, getting life tap procs, and then our traps and our mercenary giving us a hand, not a whole lot to worry about. Shadows. Tap combo. Switch back to the main hand and kick. That's really all there is to it. Super cool looking build. And you might have to occasionally recast your traps. And that blade shield too is really, like, it's mostly just for style points, but gives you that extra chance to proc your frozen orbs. Cloak of Shadows, Lightning Sentry, Death Sentry, and then teleporting kick. You can absolutely not run Enigma, like you could use something else. It's just nice to have the freedom to teleport whenever you want, even though she has the repositioning skill. Ooh. Don't really see Infector spawn that low. That's, I think I've seen that before. Let me know in the comment section if you guys have seen him spawn that low before. Take a little bit of damage with Amp. The one little close call, quick full rejuve, and then you can see life tap proc, and then it's not really anything to worry about. Antlers, colored, nice. I'll keep those for my antler identification video. Quick run back to town, and quickly drop some of this stuff. The problem with Pluggy, hoarder's problem, first world problems. Too much stuff to constantly hoard. A little bit offhand teleporting faster. Focus Shadows. Your 4-1 combo, Lightning Sentry, Death Sentry here. You could go 3-2. Don't think it matters. And then kick, 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 life tap, and Frozen Orbs proccing non-stop. Can get a little tedious, constantly recasting your traps, but again, I don't think this build is very effective if you go a pure melee approach. Like, I really think supplemental traps is super important. Come on, Faisal, don't die on me. Offhand teleporting is a little bit quicker. Book of Shadows. 4-1 and kick. That's all you gotta do. Cloak, 4-1, kick. That's your acronym for the Riftsin. Or probably the Kicksin in general, but... I mean, for players 3, I think she's doing pretty good. I mean, honestly, probably like close to like a... I mean, like, I think she's doing it like really as fast as a Zealer because of the extra AoE and stuff. You might not agree, but again, we're not hammered in effectiveness here, but come on, Vizier. Okay, now for Diablo, you only need to use Lightning Sentry. There's no point of using Death Sentry because there's nothing to... Corpse explodes, you just lay out your traps, pick away, get life tap to proc. See Crushing Blow there. You see that Crushing Blow animation? Oh yeah! Players 3 riffs and kill just like that, and an F. I guess we'll check the demon head too. Why not? IS 1 to barb skills. Nothing else exciting on that one. Look at the Rejewel, FHR, nothing, and then we'll just check this for 5 Poison Nova because why not? 5 to Poison Nova, nothing. Alright guys, there you have it. That wraps up my Riftsin build. I tried to cover a lot of the key mechanics in regards to kicking, how it works, some gameplay, and talking about different alternative ways that you can spec the skill tree. So I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video and you give the Riftsin a shot. It's definitely worth trying, I think, in my opinion. A super cool looking character if you want to be the cool guy on Battle.net. But yeah guys, if you could throw a like on this video, share it, and if you consider subscribing if you're new to my channel. I post new weekly content and stream on a consistent basis, so there's always new stuff to look forward to, and your support with a sub means a lot. And on that guys, hope you have a fan-frickin-tastic day, and I'll see you on my next stream or video. Peace out.